We'll be back with the detail. Welcome back from that break. Now moving on to our very first story for tonight. Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompreh has denied allegations seeking to suggest that he has labeled flag bearer hopeful of a new patriotic party, Kennedy Japan, as unfit to lead the new patriotic party in the upcoming primaries. He is therefore appealing to all parties involved to desist from politics of insult and focus on the upcoming contest as the party prepares to elect candidates to front both its presidential and parliamentary bid.
It's a known fact that I am, all out for Dr. Baumia. But what I want to say is that it's never true. I can never describe him as somebody not fit for president. When he came to his home, I listened to him carefully. If you listen to his messages, one of the message lines were that he raised issues which are either rumor or things that people are raising against him, and that he would deal with it. One of the things he raised was that people are saying that he's not fit for president. And so he raised it himself, preempted it, and dealt with it. Me, I'm sitting mine somewhere, as will be described. Only for me to hear now I'm not the punching bag. Me being punched by him because in his own estimation he has heard that somebody says I had said that he's not fit for president. I think it's most unfortunate. First of all, if you hear an allegation, you should have at least called me. Now, I have to speak to you through this medium because several efforts to reach out to him has proved unfortunately futile. I feel a bit hurt. I feel very hurt because for anybody who knows me, I don't do politics of attack. Even my opponents, I don't attack them. How much more somebody who is one of our own fold. So I will challenge my good friend. Normally I won't do this. I want to challenge him. If there is anybody that I have spoken to say that he is not fit for president, he should mention the person's name. Then again, I will also advise him, he should leave me. I'm just a small fly, concentrating on my whip job in this difficult parliament. He shouldn't distract my attention. And then he should focus on his presidential campaign bid. And leave me alone. Let me concentrate on my whip job. I have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of job to do. Ordinarily, I would not have responded through this medium. But I hear the thing has gone far and people are making... I've received more than 100 calls today. People are asking me, do you have a beef with Kennedy Japan and all that? You want to be president. I didn't ask you to go and contest. So he should simply focus on his presidential bid. And leave me to also focus on my whip job.
Away from that story, the minority in Parliament has expressed dissent to the ruling of the Supreme Court by Chief Justice nominee Gertrude Tokono in the case that annulled James Jachikwesin's election as Member of Parliament for the Asin North constituency. However, the caucus maintained is that despite their strong objection to the ruling of Ghana's apex court, they will approve the nomination of Justice Gertrude Tokono as Chief Justice following the retirement of Chief Justice Kwesi Enin Yeboah.
Review the reasoning. The nominee for post of Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Tokono, told the world that she is a textualist in her preferred approach to interpreting the Constitution of Ghana 1992. What was the text in dispute in the case of Michael Ankoma Nimfa versus James Jachi Kwesen and others? This is the famous James Kwesen case. The text in dispute is Article 94, Clause 2A of the 1992 Constitution. Fidelity to the text of the Constitution of Ghana would have dictated that the controlling provisions in the resolution of the dispute are the words qualified to be a member of Parliament, quote and unquote. Disappointingly, a professed textualist like our CJ nominee abandoned the text and chose to read into the text of the Constitution a replacement text, quote, qualified to file nomination papers to contest for election as a member of Parliament. She read this into the Constitution, whilst the Constitution was dealing with qualified to be a member of Parliament. But what she was busy doing in the reasoning is to read the Constitution as saying qualified to file nomination papers to contest for election as a member of Parliament. This is exactly why the NDC minority members of Parliament on the Appointments Committee wanted to wait for the reasoning to see if the Chief Justice nominee, Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Tokono, would be true to her publicly professed textualist approach to constitutional interpretation. Instead of fidelity to the text of the Constitution, which the CJ nominee professed as her preferred approach to constitutional interpretation, she succumbed to what we believe was a flawed precedent set earlier by the Supreme Court in the ex parte Zaneto case. That is the Republic versus High Court, General Jurisdiction, Accra, ex parte Zaneto Rawlings, Ashite, and National Democratic Congress Interested Parties, number 2 of 2015 to 2016, 1 Supreme Court Ghana Law Report, page 92, which this current court relied on, was wrongly decided by an earlier panel of the Supreme Court. Zaneto would have been qualified anyway if the Supreme Court was to conclude that Article 94 deals with qualification to be a member of Parliament. She would have been qualified anyway if they had adopted the position that we're adopting today, and not eligibility to contest elections to be a member of Parliament. James Jachi Kwesen is gearing up to contest the by-election in Asin North, which has been brought about by the Supreme Court's decision. In that regard, we, the members of the Appointments Committee representing the National Democratic Congress, NDC, will not withhold our approval of the Chief Justice nominee by consensus. We will not withhold our approval of her by consensus. Her CV reveals a person of considerable experience, having served as a judge from the High Court to the Court of Appeal and ultimately at the Supreme Court. Women who have acquitted themselves should be given opportunities to occupy key national offices. Even as we disagree with her jurisprudence, we find her qualified to occupy the high office of Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana.
Now, the activated SIM card holders have thronged the NI headquarters for the registration of their Ghana cards. Now, according to the beleaguered telco users, the process of acquiring the card is extremely tedious. They are therefore calling on government to expedite action on the acquisition process so as to enable them use their SIM cards.
The Minister of Communications, Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, announced the commencement of the re-registration of all mobile SIM cards on October 1, 2021. The exercise was expected to have lasted for a period of 6 months, but was extended several times for tangible challenges faced by these SIM card users. The re-registration exercise by the government is said to be assisting the Ghana Police Service in its operations to clamp down on cybercrime, according to the Communication Minister. Government on February 14, 2023 disclosed that a total of 25,150,522 SIM cards has been successfully registered in Ghana as of February 9, 2023, and also encouraging the public to comply with the registration timelines. All unregistered SIM cards were set for deletion on April 17, 2023, but decision was rescinded after several consultations. Due to a directive from the National Communication Authority, all active unregistered SIM cards were to be deactivated and removed starting June 1, 2023. It has been 6 days after the final deadline. Hundreds of Ghanaians have rushed to the National Identification Authority headquarters in Accra to secure a Ghana card, which is mandatory for the re-registration exercise to enable them register their SIM cards before it can be reactivated. In an interaction with some aggrieved Ghanaians at the NIA headquarters, they expressed their displeasure to how the registration exercise has been and called on government to do something about it. The Ghana card registration is not moving speedily as expected, thereby preventing some Ghanaians from being able to use their SIM cards.
Your polling places are Ghana card near you. Now we are damaged now Ghana card is Radia. We to be young, but are Ghana card. Mako, me actually said, this is a Bahab office, Accra. Now we do Friday up to now. The Ghana card, Ninya, Uko, Yasekwaha, Udu Yasefaha, Sani, the enemy, young police say, but you better have a church on the number, they have code driller, my way, as I be doing the Ghana card. Up to now. Maybe who the question of my was annual etimi question. I then am the phone of Ghana card. Woman to move to say, your region beyond in the capital. Woman to move office living called region beyond in the capital. Never be a the whole Ghana, 16 regions. Only one place, a greater Accra office no way to me replacement. And the Mentias, the telephone, or the Ghana card no see a day to about the maybe only the young Mabakura, I mean to move the abu, not to offer. I mean, they are showing home. Last 4 years in the Koya. Obia the amount of a bride by Nusi and Yama. My quite Marco Banho, Marco 4 times. Anytime I could be I was a printing member. The last time I make one boss, I walk at him, and remember headquarters, now member my year. I see your matter, but I also forget about 2 weeks. The 2 weeks now by an will try a line no mono. And see Friday in the bar, Friday Budua 5:30 a.m. 5:30 a.m. The Bataya Masanka. None Monday, so maybe and the Monday Budua 3:30. Maybe line up it was 8. As up to now, Masanka. And see a bomb pass up in the phone. And maybe I'm much to you now. Yes, I can, man. A better much. And me say, one Yamaya, and be a coy. And see, one try my and me say, one more yard here, and then also yard here. Oh, by me, Mamacasano, I have fine, of 2 cars and Papa Mawakato with him. Now, Yaban, so now before a walk line Munti, never so can beach and Penifuna. But also, and yet, because a Jumana or Yaboyina.
Still on the deactivation of SIM cards, telecommunication firms in Ghana have deactivated approximately 9 million unregistered SIM cards following the government's announcement on October 1, 2021 regarding a mandatory SIM re-registration exercise. This directive issued by the National Communications Authority, NCA, and the Ministry of Communications has resulted in significant consequences for subscribers who failed to comply. This situation led to an aggrieved single mother of 2 vent her spleen on government after her SIM card and that of a child were deactivated.
One believed to be in her late 40s has expressed displeasure, specifically targeting her frustration at the Minister of Communication, Esla also Ekofo. She demanded that the authorities allow her withdraw her money on the SIM card so that the authorities can keep the SIM for whatever purpose they need it for.
Ya block me SIM voda SIM endra. Anopa mi do abe 6 o'clock. Yeah, but almost a network. And I'm inside the home. Me go inside. No almost say. Still also say. On my announcement, say the on for Ghana card and register and same yenchum. Me baby, me bano so dia no. Wa register Ghana card 3 years in ye. Ninsanka the Ghana card. Etisi ana ma block sim no. Obe den na we use phone. Misika wa me dia no. So anya sa de omunyi misika ma me. Almost ya block ni usika nyina. Ati me sro mo. Me a single parent, I'm a member. Omunyi misika ma me. Na mo fa sem no come stelo so no. No nre. Omo ka hwe nkyere no ani se yete ho saa. Omo se omo block sem na ya block sika no so ba me so sika na nam de madwuma hwe member. Ati me sro mo munyi misika ma me. Next stelo so sem na wo se yam block no. Omo se san kwama no no nre.
You are still watching Newsbreak right here on Pan-African Television. With me, Justice Appiah. We are coming to you from our studios in Abilinkwe 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. We're going for a short break. We'll be back with some more stories. Please stay.
Trasacco Estates, home to Accra's most beautiful and luxurious homes, presents its newest addition, Trasacco Springs, a premium master planned community of service plots surrounded by an exhaustive list of amenities. The gated community of Tema to Accra Motorway presents you the finest opportunity to own a land that suits your preferred size, budget, and payment terms. Trasacco Springs is open to you for development. Our on-site sales executives are ready. Call.
Hello. What are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day? You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle, health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big ways. Late Wednesdays are for book reviews. Thursdays are for the hard talk, those social, economic, policy-oriented, political questions that demand for the tough questions to be asked. And personality profiling Fridays, when we get to know the stories behind the winning personalities we love. Inspirational story from inspirational personalities. Hey, listen, you really cannot miss The Couch with me, Amma Pratt. Still, the only TV show with a hat.
Hello, information.
Madam,
may I have still not got the money for that list of expensive building materials you sent to me. The price of the iron rods have been increased too much, added.
Madam, relax. Look, that's not why I did call. I just visited IPCP, where the engineers told me everything about Trasacco fast floor.
Trawanko, please, those people are expensive. Are they not the people building those big houses in town? I beg going to catch a guy.
Madam, in fact, I used to think the same until I visited their office today. And they gave me an estimate of how much it will cost. No, the estimate is real. It's cheaper than the one I even sent you.
Wow.
Building contractors, foremen, masons. Visit IPCP, the Trasacco Fast Floor. Engineers will assist you build an affordable, faster, and stronger building.
Oh, madam. It is done.
Wow.
Trasacco Fast Floor. Stronger, faster, and affordable.
This is a Trasacco construction product.
Welcome back from that break. Now let's do some more stories where the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Honorable Shirley Ayokobotre, says both the government of Ghana and Benelux Union have agreed to work together at a multilateral level to address the challenges of food security, climate change, among others, that confront the world today as a result of COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war. According to her, the outcome of their meetings will contribute to deepening the relations that exist between Ghana and the Benelux Union, with Ghana and respective countries for the mutual benefit of the people.
The press briefing of the joint working visit to Ghana by the Benelux delegation on Monday, June 5th, the minister acknowledged the contribution of the Benelux country to peace and security in the Sahel and the West African sub-region. The minister, together with the Minister for National Security, Albert Kandapar, further briefed guests on the security situation in the region and measures being taken by member states of the Accra Initiative.
The Minister for National Security and I briefed our guests on the security situation in the region and measures being taken by member states of the Accra Initiative, as well as the level of ECOWAS and AU to address terrorism and violent extremist activities in the sub-region to restore normalcy to the affected countries. The ministers pledged their support to the Accra Initiative in that regard, and the two sides also agreed to work together at the multilateral level to address the challenges such as food insecurity, climate change, among others, that confronts the world today as a result of COVID-19. And also we had discussions on migration and what needs to be done to ensure that we work as two sides on curbing illegal migration. Our discussions also focused on trade, and we acknowledge the large numbers of companies from the three countries doing business in Ghana and welcomed their contributions to strengthening the private sector in Ghana in job creation and to Ghana's socio-economic development in general.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs for the Kingdom of the Netherlands, His Excellency Wopke Hoekstra, says he firmly believes that this kind of sustainable and equal partnership is based on shared values and interests, and it is through this partnership that the challenges these countries face can be tackled. He again added that the Netherlands look forward to enhancing migration cooperations.
Ghana and the Netherlands share a special bond, as the Netherlands is Ghana's largest trading partner within the European Union and the biggest EU investor here in your country. We're also long-standing partners and friends. And we have embarked on a new phase in our relationship, transitioning from a relationship based on aid to one centering around trade. And this is in line with Ghana's vision, as the Minister has also articulated to me, of moving beyond aid to a more equitable and mutually beneficial partnership, as it should be. I firmly believe in this kind of sustainable and equal partnership based on shared values and shared interests. And it is through this partnership that we can tackle the challenges we face. And as the Minister said, we also very much look forward to enhancing our migration cooperation.
Minister for Foreign and European Affairs of Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, His Excellency Jean Alsabon, commended Ghana for always being on the right side each time there is a vote or resolution in the United Nations on the Russian-Ukraine war.
We had 4 votes, 4 resolutions in the UN in New York, and every time Ghana was on the right side. So thank you very much for this. And secondly, I want to explain, this is not a conventional war where 2 countries are fighting each other. It is an aggression of Russia against Ukraine. And this is very, very difficult from what we saw maybe conventionally if 2 countries are in a war. Here, there are not 2 countries in a war. There is one country that aggressed against all the rules of the UN Charter, a neighborhood country called Ukraine. And the fight is not a fight against this country alone. It is a fight from Putin against democracy, against rule of law, against our values. values that we share here in Africa, in Ghana, and also in the European Union. And therefore, we have to do everything possible that very, very quickly we can come to a diplomatic solution. I know that we cannot say we will push a button and the war is over. We see no efforts from the Russian side to give a chance to peace, to at least a ceasefire and then to a negotiation.
With all said, the ambassador and special envoy for the Sahel of the Kingdom of Belgium, His Excellency Bart de Groove, appreciated the minister for a warm welcome and looks forward to a prosperous partnership.
Already said, apart from, of course, also in the name of my country, thanking you, Minister, very warmly for your welcome and for the excellent discussions that we had, especially from my role as special envoy on the regional security situation and the role that Ghana is playing in this. Thank you very much.
The Benelux Union is a political and economic partnership established on September 5, 1944, between three neighboring countries, namely Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, with the aim of promoting cooperation and economic integration among its member states. The delegation is led by the Foreign Minister of Netherlands, which holds the presidency for the Benelux in 2023. The Benelux Union is on a 2-day joint working visit to Ghana and is scheduled to meet with the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Away from that story, Dentra Meritrensu, a predominantly agricultural community in the Upper Dentra East municipality of the Central Region, is grappling with a lack of reliable telecommunication network coverage. As a result, residents find themselves resorting to scaling hills or climbing trees just to make phone calls. The absence of a stable network reception has left the community feeling disconnected and excluded from the government's digitalization initiatives. The situation is not only affecting personal communication, but also causing significant harm to local businesses. The community has voiced its concerns, highlighting the difficulties posed by the poor connectivity. Nurses and teachers in particular are reluctant to accept positions in the area due to the challenges they face in staying connected. Some residents expressed their frustration, emphasizing the potential risk in emergency situations.
Network is higher. This year,
the Member of Parliament for the
Opesa ono yon kokora ye call ajiko ujiso ko fudia wa fudia ntimi ye call no krempo no e beba sila ontini na
ibu okra yiso ko tari bia bi hu se wan free anso ankwa okwa eskuma kwan mu a depo bi wo ho no wasan so ade akwa akogina free mrechi so okwa eskuma no depo bi wo no akwa akogina ba akofo nkwa okwa na wiase no ayehu nka me da me dem na me ye me kwa me ni mse nka be boa me
problem e ban ha papa se me wonu se me fi no nante ya abre wo bonu se otumi hwe me se nso ne to sa no a da e bi so me hia se wo se me fresa hwe no ha.
Cosmos Ayeribi, a mobile money operator, highlighted the adverse impact of the network issue on their business operations. According to him, without a stable network, transactions cannot be conducted, leading to losses and hardships for their customers.
Your network mobile money no and say bia amu be scanner. I don't know need no adding. If you are take 10 minutes, 5 minutes and because all direct cramp on the bed so sa a be release member. Everybody know where the other way network na say as answer article. I don't know how power mobile money
In response to the situation, Kwame Nsoa Salvation, an assembly member of the area, appealed to both the government and telecommunication companies to urgently expand their services to Dentra Meritreso.
Network in one, Masa, I confirm di juma.
and I'm book on you who now pay. Person free Dunka police command now. Edding. I just track quite could never be a hoye answer. And the atos penny for Kibu, in say and measure doing or born homo dibia and so no, and who I don't know, and intimate my penny for Kibu, or communication ministry now. I'm more message medium. As you come out, many to Sunya Chasm. Network was and 7 penny phones sent to me.
Away from Dentra, let's come to the Greater Accra region where the deplorable roads along Ayimensa, Damfa and Otimbi are left to the fate of destruction as private and commercial vehicles suffer the risk of breakdown when plying the road. When Pan-African Television's Doreen Awola Ada visited the area, some concerned residents took turns to register their frustration about the dilapidated stretch and pleaded with government for immediate intervention.
Member of Parliament for the Medina constituency, Francis Javier Sosu, in October last 2 years, led residents of Lanquantanan in the Medina municipality to demonstrate over the bad roads on the Ayimensa, Damfa and Otimbi stretch. The protest, which was to call for government's immediate intervention, almost led to the Medina lawmaker's arrest by the Ghana Police Service. One of the losses he suffered was his car being damaged by the police in their attempt to arrest him over the protest. Despite all efforts and cries by the affected communities and their legislator in getting their roads fixed, authorities are yet to commence work on the busy stretch. According to people living in Damfa and its environs, the terrible state of their road is affecting lives and businesses, especially with the current heavy downpour. In an interview, some concerned residents took turns to register their frustrations and pleaded with government to start work on the unmotorable road. Meet Akusua, a food vendor who sells along the bad stretch. She tells us how the poor nature of the road has affected her business and called on government to come to their aid.
Ramada kura do si hada ye beto aba na o maba eti yesra aban ne so no ama nanim kon no menye kwan ne maye ne ye bere e wa pa amaka kura ntimi nya adwuma wa gisi ye furu moto emerwafo ne yesisi moto so ne ye tehwe ne ye sore ti yesra na na do se wo ma nanim kon mo ho no meye kwan ne maye a futuro eni ateche nsuo to ha nya asem ketwa kura futuro epesi futuro boye nsuo to so a atechenya asem ketwa kura eti effecti e papa obi kura de ka ba wotimi ma meto ade maye.
It was not a different story told by Ofori, a motor rider who plied the road each day. He explains that the rate at which he constantly had to repair some essential parts of his motorbike, coupled with the economic hardship just to feed his family.
Yakasa hwa bre de bia MPs ni nyoma omo beba ha ne ya beba be ya mamone tina yakasa hwa bre roadway efi ha na amanfo ntipa jansi ya e de ko ase edu nketi apie wo oyarefa e link to na abri roadway nko de yan nimbone a de aya na oman no a krowe omo jamu bibia de ato ke amanfo na amahia toilet kwan kra omo eguso efi ade ko na amahia na amanfo clinic kwan nyina atete ase dunketia e wo kwan we so mpanifo wo kwan we so ufi ha edu alaji ha ya kan kra tumi twam wo ya bre ya kasa hwa ntisem wa bi wo ho aban ni ma boye na ye bre sesi ya moto we asi wo Roberts ni nyoma na ye de achichiri shocks ufa sesi ya nsuo mu na ukọ ba ko ba obekọ akoto shocks sesi ya shocks ni bibia so boye nti ye bre
Kofi, the station master for the motor riders in the area, expressed disappointment in the ruling government for neglecting them. He further bared teeth at the Road and Safety Commission for the poor roads while taxing road users without using the money for its rightful purpose.
Because aha na enyina ye jumanya bibi kakara but they be almost road weight insurance yɛyɛ ne nyinaa nso no still na yɛnya hwee mfiri kwan no ho sɛ nsuo started to yi wokɔ inside ankasa hapo deɛ yɛ wokɔ inside ankasa ɔmo se nante fam a wontumi nante afei nso a polisifoɔ nso adwuma wɔ noa na yɛ nyinaa di yɛhwɛ yɛ busiafoɔ bɛsɛ sɛ wonya tu moto fa ha pɛ polisi ni bi anya gyina pɛ ne gye wo se da bi ɔmo interview yɛ but ɔmo kɔ nso a yɛnte hwee mba wokɔ kapɛ ɔmo se wɔno na because wɔnya de wo kɔduru ɔpɛ wɔ so wo na wayɛ bɔne nti kwan ne deɛ sɛ wɔ mu sɛ mu yɛ yɛ interview ɔmo de kɔ ɔmo mbɔ mmɔden sɛ ɔmo ntu ɔmo ani na ɔmo nhwɛ ɔmo nante kwan no so because saa asɛm yɛm sɛ bɛyɛ third time ni a meka saa asɛm wei ɛwɔ same ayo saa da na ɔmo bɛto yɛ wɔ alagye tɔfoɔ bɛti ayɛ nkosiaga sɛ mehu road wɛte so mfa so paa wɔ Ghana ha because moto bi ani hɔ anasɛ kaa bi ani hɔ ɛnam kwan wei so a road wɛte no ho ewu ndɛ kora police no ho a wɔso wɔkyew nso de bi ayɛ kwan nyɛ.
Residents are pleading with the government to come to the aid to improve their roads. For Pan-African Television, Doreen Awolana Ada.
Now, following the recent attack on the number of nomadic herdsmen by some residents of Kupela and Ziogo in the Upper East region over a reported assault on a 23-year-old pregnant woman in the area, President of the Ghana National Association of Cattle Farmers, Imam Hanafi's Sunday, has called for grazing reserves for its members across the country to help address the continual controversy between herdsmen and farmers. George Yosevine has more on this.
Tim does not know her attacker. Her description of him, coupled with the fact that he was in the forest at dawn, led some locals to suspect that a Fulani herdsman may have been responsible. This suspicion fueled their decision to target all Fulanis in the area. As of June 1 this year, a significant number of Fulanis has sought refuge in the Bolgatanga municipality, while others remain in the Boku West district capital, Zebila. This sounds worrying to the president of the Ghana National Association of Cattle Farmers, Imam Hanafi Sunday, and suggests government create a grazing reserve for its members across the country to help address the menace.
So we think it is a time. We cannot say that it is a problem that cannot be controlled. Why? If you go to America, 100 years ago, they were having such a problem. Now, what do we do? Today in Ghana, we were talking about there is a need of to create grazing reserves, because the crop farmer, you may choose to go for crop. I choose to go for livestock. These are all agriculture. So now, in Africa, we all know that we have not got into the system of intensive breeding. What we do is the open grazing system in the whole Africa. And now there are no specific places for grazing. So there are so many proposals that is informing our government that they should create what we call grazing reserves along, within the regions, within the district where we have our herdsmen. If these grazing reserves are there, then that will cater, because everybody will know that this very area belongs to the cattle farmers. So no crop farmer should go and farm there. And this area, crop farmers are here. No cattle farmer should go there. There should be some very strong regulations. There should be penalties, or that goes against any person who goes beyond the rules and regulations. So I think it is very simple. We see it very simple, but because we don't have power, it has to do with the government and stakeholders, and we need to come together.
Security experts Adib Sani, who is happy with arrests made by the Regional Police Command, called for inter-ethnic dialogue in addressing the issue.
Things happen with no repercussion, but thankfully, from the information I'm picking up from the Upper East region, some arrests have been made. But arresting is not enough. You need to investigate thoroughly, gather enough evidence so you are able to put up a case in court. But once you arrest and there's no interest in it, in the end, the suspects are left off the hook. So I think law enforcement is extremely key going forward. And there's a need for inter-ethnic dialogue. A lot of people have certain stereotypes, about certain groups. I remember when I was going to marry from a particular ethnic group, I was told that our tribe, if we marry from that group, we will never succeed in life. Here I am, I'm a loser. So I think that, I mean, we need to go beyond these stereotypes, and I would admonish the media to also be careful in their reportage. For example, you see headlines such as 2 Fulani killers arrested, 2 Fulani robbers.
Now
So
wrapping up on tonight's edition of Newsbreak right here on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. Let's do some international story from our international partner, People's Dispatch, where around 70% of Syria's population, over 15 million people, depend on humanitarian aid for their survival, according to the UN. The country's economy has been severely hurt due to a decade-long war and sanctions imposed by the U.S. and its allies, with the situation worsening since the disastrous earthquake in February.
The United Nations on Tuesday, May 30, issued an urgent appeal for humanitarian aid for Syria, warning that people in every district of the country are experiencing some degree of humanitarian stress. Around 70% of the population, over 15 million people, depend on humanitarian aid for their survival, according to the UN. In order to provide humanitarian aid, the UN has appealed to international donors for a sum of $5.4 billion, less than 10% of which has been received. According to the World Food Programme, without more donations, around 2.5 million Syrians risk losing their food or cash assistance by July. The UN also noted that the devastating earthquake in Turkey and Syria in February has further aggravated the crisis. UN Humanitarian Office's Operations Director Edem Mosonu, speaking at the Security Council, said that the Syrian people are more and more reliant on humanitarian assistance as basic services and critical infrastructure are on the blink of collapse.
That's how we wrap up on today's edition of Newsbreak right here on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter at Pan-African Television. Keep watching Pan-African Television. Goodbye.